And I really love having tough discussions. I'm not here to talk about fluff. I'm not here to talk about, make me look good. I'm here to talk about the issues and improve our community. It's not a magic button or a magic policy that's going to make that change. So I have the privilege to be in this job, but people want to see results. I'm very results oriented. Had some exciting results in terms of building up an innovation corridor. And I know often people don't understand what an innovation corridor, these are buzzwords, but when you think about, for example, jobs per hectare. So before, Brampton was known as a barcode economy. So you have a lot of warehouses, but the amount of jobs in those warehouses were, like, say, 20 jobs. What I think people respect me as well is that I'm not afraid to take on battles. I'm not afraid to call out or shine a light on things which I think are wrong. The city of Brampton was known as a city before. I remember 4 or 8 years ago. Beautiful, clean. Our park system is second to none. Our recreation system is second to none. We see a deterioration of it.
So you have already touched base almost all the points, major points especially, but I just wanted to focus on the corruption, especially people are also upset with the mishappenings in the council and the corruption. There are so many blames and allegations from the council differently. So do you want to quickly address that issue?
The one thing I would say is that, one should never be afraid to have more transparency and accountability.
So hi friends, this is Harjinder Gill, and we are here with Mr. Martin Medeiros, who's running for regional councillor from wards 3 and 4. This is our special segment, Know Your Candidate, that is KYC, and let's start with Mr. Martin from his personal and academic background. Martin, welcome to our special segment.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's an honor to be here. Certainly it's a great opportunity. I was born and raised in Brampton, so I have a lot of passion for the city. Born right at Peel Memorial Hospital. When I was 15 years old, or 16 years old, I was on the Mayor's Youth Council. So I never thought I would be into politics. Here I am. And then I studied international relations at university, and I did a master's in Europe, and I got to work after at the European Commission, United Nations, and then I was a bureaucrat at the province of Ontario for many years. And so it was a privilege after when I got elected first in 2014. And I think that part of the strengths I bring is exactly because I've always worked on the other side. I'm very good with the reports. So the political stuff, I've been having to learn how to be a better politician, meet with more groups, be a little bit more communication. And that's something that it's a privilege to have the support of the community.
Okay, but being in media, so I have heard this from many people. They say Martin Medeiros is one of very few politicians who are very committed and dedicated towards your job. And do you believe so?
It's an honor for people to say that. I certainly take this very seriously, and I take my job, and I'm very open to. I like coming on the media. I like having town halls. I think I've done more town halls than any a politician in Brampton, I say respectfully. And why I do that is, one is obviously, like I said, because of my background, I think as a bureaucrat, I really love talking about issues and policies and having those discussions. But I also feel it's an obligation, because when people vote for me, it's a privilege. And I take that as a responsibility. And I want people to have access. And even for those who don't support me, I want to know how do I improve myself? What are issues that I haven't addressed? And it's a good opportunity to learn. So I love the opportunity to speak to people. I always thank the media for giving me the opportunity to express it. And I really love having tough discussions. I'm not here to talk about fluff. I'm not here to talk about, make me look good. I'm here to talk about the issues and improve our community.
So how do you see your previous 4 years? Do you think that when people will re-elect you in this term, you will be working on some different agendas?
Yeah, one thing, the narrative, what I find when people talk about, for the next 4 years, I'm going to be doing this, next 4 years, I'm going to do that. We have to understand sometimes when we're doing societal change, like when we talk about community safety, crime and safety, it's not a magic button or a magic policy that's going to make that change. So I have the privilege to be in this job, but people want to see results. So I'm very results oriented. Certainly, I think we've managed to address community safety, but we have more to do. So one of the things I'm really passionate about is preventative programs, investing more in youth programs. Like, for example, I moved a motion which is going to give Brampton's first 2 youth hubs, and one just in my area. And what are the youth hubs? Is kids can drop in, they have access to equipment, technology, anything that they want to do, board games, but it's an opportunity for them to come together. But we're going to have guidance counselors there. We're going to have people to support them for job training, for any type of mental health training that they need. So that's what I'm excited to implement more, which ultimately leads to that goal of community safety. I think the next 4 years after, we've gone through some turbulent years in Brampton. We went through COVID, every community, but Brampton was really hard hit for COVID. So right now we have to address a couple of things. One, obviously, we need to attract more jobs in the city. Too many people work outside of Brampton. And when more people work outside of Brampton, not only that takes away from the person's quality of life, but we're losing lost revenue in terms of taxes from the city of Brampton, where we should have businesses investing here, which offsets the burden on taxpayers. So that's certainly an area that we have to do better, and we have to continue to work on those areas. I think the other area we're struggling with, and it's good that you talked about some of the challenges and diversity, because right now we have a housing crisis in Brampton. Right. And when you see that the type of housing that's there, we have a lot of illegal basement apartments, and people have to live. I'm, Portuguese background. My parents came as immigrants. Everyone came, and we understand that people are trying to survive. The problem is that we need to give them opportunities to succeed. We need to find them safe housing that is affordable. So we need more different product out there. And how are we going to do that? We can't all have big homes with double garage. We need to have, more condos. We need to have more safe, different types of housing dwellings. We need to give opportunity and make sure that people are here in Brampton and they're going to be well protected. They're going to have a safe place to stay, and they have an opportunity. I think another challenge that we're having, obviously, as a growing population, we have, for example, a lot of speeding. So traffic safety is a huge issue. And we know, for example, when people are trying to go off the major corridors, they're cutting through neighborhoods. And obviously neighborhoods, that's where our kids play. That's where our seniors go for walks. And when you hear stories about people getting hit by cars, when you hear that parents are so afraid that their kids leave the door, that's not the Brampton I knew, but that's the Brampton that has evolved over with all the population. Right. So we need to address those issues. And I can tell you Wards 3 and 4, not only, raised in this area, I know every inch of this Wards 3 and 4, and I know the challenges that are there. Right. We've addressed some of those challenges, but we got even more to do.
Can we just discuss the boundaries of the wards?
Yes. So right now it would be south of Queen Street, and then it would be north of the 407 from Mississauga Road, which would be east Mississauga Road to west of Dixie. Right. So it's a pretty large, diverse area. I have majority of the population here is in Ward 4, but Brampton proper, or what we call as the traditional Old Brampton, is in the area where City Hall is. So that's a major important part. And then we have the whole industrial base as we go east along Steeles or east along Queen.
So when we compare Brampton with Mississauga especially, people have a term in their mind that the Brampton is just to sleep. This is just a sleeping city. So do you think in last 4 years or in coming 4 years, you will be making some kind of differences to break that myth?
Yeah, and that's a fair comment. But I will tell you, we've had some exciting results in terms of building up an innovation corridor. And I know often people don't understand what an innovation corridor, these are buzzwords, but when you think about, for example, jobs per hectare. So before, Brampton was known as a barcode economy. So you have a lot of warehouses, but the amount of jobs in those warehouses were, like, say, 20 jobs. Now we're noticing, just at the price of land, when you have jobs which are reflecting technology, innovation, creativity, and the footprint is smaller. So we're trying to have more jobs, more in the innovation economy, and we're changing our local economy into what we call is more innovative and part of the innovation economy. If you look at where we have the GO station, and you hear this all the time, we're exactly in the middle between what is Waterloo, which is all the research and development, where the capital markets in Toronto. So naturally, we have a whole economic hub that we can build around innovation technology, because we bring those two worlds together. And we're starting to see that creativity. Rogers, for example, announced that they're going to bring 2,000 jobs from their headquarters in downtown Brampton. So we're working with them to have that happen. We're having a lot of success attracting through a beehive, which is a way to attract foreign investors. And, if you look at, for example, some of our real young creative minds who are coming from overseas, they come here, we set them up, we give them the place to set up their technology, we help them try to commercialize it, and they're creating jobs and they're staying in our community.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about the council. previous 4 years were like a roller coaster. So the council was divided on many issues, and at the same time, they made some good decisions too. But people were little upset with the overall performance by the councils. Do you believe so?
Yeah, I think what we hear is that people, I know there's that understanding that people want us to work together. And I certainly want to work with everyone. But I think people respect me as well, is that I'm not afraid to take on battles. I'm not afraid to call out or shine a light on things which I think are wrong. And I will continue to do so. Ultimately, I'm responsible to the residents of Wards 3 and 4. Ultimately, I will work with whoever gets elected, but I won't support things which I think are not good for the city. And certainly I do think at times, and it's a reflection that I have to make a self-reflection, is that, you know, could I have maybe tried to reach out and work with my colleagues in a different manner? Could I have maybe had more conversations? Could I have maybe looked at, you know, peaceful ways to do some of this stuff? And I think there's a learning opportunity for me. And if the residents of Wards 3 and 4 support me, I hear it loud and clear. I think, you know, we will try to do that. But I think it's just natural. You know, usually the first 2-year cycle is a honeymoon period, and then you get into the 3rd, 4th year, then some of these things happen. You know, it's unfortunate that the residents of Brampton had to assist some of this. The only thing I would ask is that, you know, ultimately the city has to be at the core of everything we do. The residents have to be at the core, and the quality of life has to be at the core of our decision making. So when some of our decisions at the city don't reflect what is better for the community or better for the residents, then you have to question who's it actually benefiting. And that was what I sort of questioned. So that is my litmus test. I will always approve things that is good for the community, good for the residents, but things that I don't think are good for them, I will continue to be vocal. I will continue to be who I am.
Right. So friends, this is Harjinder Gill, and we are with Mr. Martin Medeiros, who is running for regional councillor 2nd time. He was regional councillor for last 4 years, and he's asking you to re-elect him for this term again. So Martin, what special plans or agenda or the important issues you are going to consider for the next term?
Yeah, thank you very much. And I think that it's very clear what we have to do. As I'm seeking my 3rd term, we really have to address crime and safety. Our crime and safety overall, what they call the violent crime, as a municipality, we're the safest municipality, over 1 million people in Canada when it comes to violent crime. But what we've seen, unfortunately, is an increase in domestic partner violence. We've seen an increase, for example, in petty theft. Those things have to be addressed. So crime and safety is going to be certainly one of my top priorities. I think second, along with crime and safety, is community safety. So when we talk about speeding, when we talk about even property standards, the city of Brampton was known as a city before. I remember 4 or 8 years ago, you know, beautiful, clean. Our park system is second to none. Our recreation system is second to none. We see a deterioration of it. What we've done is 4 tax freezes in the last 4 years. What I think we have to do now, my next 4 years, is really, we have to get a solid base financially. We have to look at what we have in our financial situation, because we're a growing community. So some of the projects that we offset for the last 4 years, we're going to have to do them. Brampton Downtown Reimagine, our innovation center. We have a medical school that's coming, as we know the province announced. So we have to ensure that we build an economic strategy around having a medical center, a medical school right here in Brampton, and also how we're going to address some of our health concerns, because we're waiting for the 2nd and 3rd phase to be complete at Peel Memorial, which is in my ward. So that will address health. So those are really, you know, those priority projects that I want to see complete and start preparing for a 3rd hospital. Other than that, I think quality of life issues, I hear it always at the door. People are challenged, people invest and have house pride. And then after, unfortunately, the property standards haven't been keeping up to what the city is. And these are the sort of really resident on the ground issues. Sometimes politicians, we get, you know, we lose track on what really matters to residents. And we like the big ideas, we like the spanking new shiny buildings. But what people really want is those community issues, park improvements. They want to see the cleaner roads. They want to feel safer. So we almost have to get back to basics. And I think that's really what I'm going to be focusing on.
Right. So you have already touched base on almost all the points, major points especially. But I just wanted to focus on on the corruption, especially people are also upset with the mishappenings in the council and the corruption. There are so many blames and allegations from the council differently. So do you want to quickly address that issue?
The one thing I would say is that, one should never be afraid to have more transparency and accountability. So I, for one, I'm always open to people scrutinizing our decisions, people scrutinizing any type of business we do at the city. I should feel that people should know my vote. I don't like voting in camera. That's another thing that, some of my colleagues think that they can get away with in-camera voting because the public, we don't vote out in public. So I can only speak for myself by saying that I want transparency. I am not afraid that any decision I've made to be scrutinized. I'm more than happy to always come on a public forum and discuss my decision. I was very saddened and disappointed with some of my colleagues who canceled an investigation that we had recently, which they felt they stopped it, where we had a fulsome report which really detailed some serious concerns about influences by councillors and trying to get contracts and stuff. And I don't know, so that report should be made public. And lastly, I would say, there's sometimes a saying in Portuguese that we say, who is not afraid should not be afraid to be scrutinized. So I'm always open to be scrutinized, and I want to bring that transparency more to City Hall.
Okay, October 24th is a day when the Diwali and 𝗚𝗲𝗶𝗶 is on the same day. And most of the Indian origin voters may be concerned about that day. How would you encourage them so that they can vote in advance voting days?
First, I understand people's concern. It's not fair. It's almost like telling people go vote on Christmas. And that is really... So, in solidarity, it's wrong that they're doing that. So, first of all, I want to be on public record by saying that. The second thing I would say is that please vote early voting. We have several dates. We have October 7, 8, and 9. They can vote at Brampton City Hall. For those in Wards 3 and 4, that's the closest place. On the 14th, 15th, and 16th, you can go to Brampton City Hall, or you can go to Susan Fennell Sports Complex, which is Ray Lawson in McLaughlin. So please go vote at the early dates, get your vote in, and this way you can really relax and enjoy your Diwali.
Less voter turnout. How do you consider that? Would that be in people's favor, or will that be in politicians' favor?
Well, certainly you never want to have a low voter turnout. So I just think it's a lose-lose situation for everybody. I will not be happy. I never get happy, just to win, and you say you win, but there's a low voter turnout. I think more participation we have, more input, more dialogue. So I just think it's a lose-lose for everybody if we have apathy and we don't have that. And we know it's tough, and we know municipal elections are the ones that have the least amount of attention, even though they have the most impact in people's lives. When you wake up, you turn on the lights, municipal. When you go to the bathroom, that's municipal. When you go wash your hands, that's municipal. When you throw out garbage, it's municipal. So your life, over 60% of your life is impacted by municipal services. And so why wouldn't you pay attention to the most important vote, in my mind, would be municipal voting. So that's why I ask people to come and vote.
Okay, so you are already incumbent in these two wards as a regional councillor, and most of the people are considering you as the first front runner. Do you believe so?
I don't believe in anything about front runner. What I do believe in is that I have an amazing team, and we're working hard on a daily basis. I have amazing volunteers, great support, and the message is we got a lot of work to do. We have early voting coming up, and we keep working hard, and let the numbers lie where the numbers. But this idea of front runner or so on, things change every day, and that leads also to apathy, because if people don't believe that their vote counts, then so I want people to believe their vote counts, and I will work hard for that vote.
Right. So Martin, thank you so much for your time, and we wish you all the very best for your campaign, and looking forward to talk to you soon in the future. Your closing remarks now.
I just say thank you so much, Harjinder, and your team to do this, for this opportunity to be here. And the one message I give to people, please go out and vote. You have early voting. You can look at my website. I'll have the dates here, martinmedeiros.ca.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. This was Mr. Martin Medeiros, regional councillor candidate from wards 3 and 4. And this was our special segment, Know Your Candidate, KYC. Thank you so much.
For all the latest updates, please subscribe G Media Group and press the bell icon.